Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection Power Sword from Big Bad Beetleborgs. I'm just kidding. It's from VR Troopers. I'm just kidding again. It's from Westworld, guys. No, it's from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I'm just making really dumb jokes that aren't even funny. So basically, it's my channel. Anyway, so this is our version of the Legacy Collection. You know, we started with the Morpher, we had the Dragon Dagger, and we're finally delving into more of the weapons. We have this one here. They recently announced the Power Lances, and those will be on the way. So let's take a look at this, see if it is worth the hefty price tag. Hefty, hefty, hefty. Not sponsored by Hefty. Also, we'll take a look at it compared to the old Legacy version, and look forward to me probably mixing up the Legacy and Lightning names multiple times. So as you can see, one of the cool features about this is it does come with a stand, which I think is really nice, and I really do dig the stands they have for these, like for the Morpher and for the Dagger and for this. I think it's kind of cool. Like, it doesn't feel like the... Thanks, spoiler alert. You spoiled 2 sounds now. You happy? It doesn't feel like the most premium stand, honestly. It feels rather cheap. It feels like... well, cheap. I can't think of anything else to say. But the look of it, I think, overall is pretty cool. I like the sort of power coin design of the Red Ranger helmet. I like the sort of rock feel here. Or look, not feel. I don't know what I'm saying, guys. Anyway, point is, I think it's a cool looking stand for the display. And I really do appreciate that. And just talking about this thing overall, I have some problems with some of the way it looks, but for the most part, it's pretty cool, you know? And it feels decently premium. Like, it doesn't feel the most premium, like, in my opinion, the height of that was the Legacy Collection Dragon Dagger and Saba that felt like, yeah, this is worth the money. I think it was the metal. It gives you a false confidence. But regardless, it feels decent. Like, it feels kind of like the Dragon Dagger. This is a little bit of metal right here, which makes it feel more hefty, but it doesn't feel the most cheap. It kind of feels somewhere in between premium and... sort of cheap, but not really cheap, if that makes any sense. And there is a difference here to the Legacy version where this does not have that sort of chrome finish, where this is weird because it looks kind of neat, and it's not a 100% cheap chrome finish. For fork's sake, 100% normal chrome finish. It is a little bit more of a premium one, and you kind of notice that more in person. But when you look at the pictures of it, depending on what prop you're looking at, it looks closer to the Legacy one, which we'll get to. I think the coin looks pretty good, but also the Legacy one's going to be more accurate. And I think an improvement they made here in regards to the Legacy one is this here is a little bit more compact and sleek. I think that overall, in terms of the stature of it, it is more accurate to the show in terms of the scaling and the sort of slenderness here compared to the Legacy one that's a little bit more puffy. You do have this weird look here where you have kind of a shiny silver paint on the edges, but then you kind of have this beige looking thing right here. Because it has a light up feature, which you're going to be using this, it can't do it right now unless you're activated. So see, like I'm doing it now. This is weird, guys. I'm making it weird. I keep doing it. I can't stop. Anyway, it does give it that look. But on the other side, it's nice. You do have this look right here where you don't have that. Unfortunately, you do have stuff like the barcodes and stuff they have to have on the back. So I would say it's decent looking, but I have my issues with it. Now in regards to the sounds, you have 2 buttons right here. Now these are not buttons. That was like a weird thing, but I'm only bringing that up because the Legacy version, which you'll see, has a button down here that does like electrical sounds, and these are more for helping to pull off this where the batteries are stored. The batteries are stored here. It's actually kind of weird. You have to unscrew this, and then you spring it out, and a little device comes out, and it takes 3 AA batteries, I believe. So anyway, these also aren't buttons. But this button here sort of activates this low humming noise. Let's just take a minute and appreciate it. Good for meditating and humming and stuff like that. And that's going to be the noise that allows you to use this other button. This button here plays the theme song. Nope, just Chuck Testa. You can't play it unless you press this button for whatever reason. You also can't activate the motion sounds. It has motion sounds as basically acts as the on-off switch. So press that there. Again, there's the low humming. And there we go. Let me do this. Woo! This is not really fun. But yeah, you get your sounds there. It's easier to do it this way. Thanks, spoiler alert. But you get your clashing sounds and your swooping sounds. Now, I want to show the way that this works properly. So when you have the humming there, you put your hand here and you slowly do that, and it activates a lightsabery illumination effect, kind of similar to the way he does it in the show when he does a finisher, which honestly I have to say is pretty cool and pretty satisfying. That's probably the main draw of this that makes it unique, and probably quite honestly what drives the cost up for this thing. And I have some mixed thoughts on that, which I'll talk about in a second, but it does feel cool and satisfying. If you want to stop doing that, just deactivate it. And then it still is humming, so you can activate it again. And also, you can do it like that, just to show it one more time. Now, while it's idling too, I'm going to press this, and it does play the complete Go-Go Power Rangers theme, which is quite honestly something that was pretty freaking cool when it first happened in the old Legacy toys, but now so many things play the MMPR theme. Like, you pick up a Coke and it plays the MMPR theme, but it's just not really exciting anymore. But it is a cool feature if you don't own that many of these, or if this is your first thing owning it. I'm only going to play a portion of it, or little snippets to show you it does the whole thing, just so I don't get copyrighted. And then you stop it like that. And then just press this to deactivate the humming noise. It effectively takes it off of idle and allows you to use all the other noises. As you saw, you'll get slightly different noises depending on which the speed you activate that as. Now, let's go ahead and show a comparison here to this version and the Legacy version. Okay, so we got the two side by side, and I know what you're thinking. The best one's actually the rinky-dink original 90s one that's a dagger that's probably this big. I actually have that somewhere, I just have no idea where it is. So if you couldn't tell, this is the Legacy version, this is the Lightning version. And I feel like it's one of those cases where they both have their pros and cons, almost like inverses of each other. I would say that this is more accurate, again, I mentioned in terms of this being more slender to the show, whereas this is a bit puffier, almost feeling like a Nerf style toy in terms of the heft of it, but also looks good. I think that both of these honestly look good. This has a little bit of a brighter gold paint, this is a darker one, just depends on kind of what you like. Now this is also more accurate if you look at some of the pictures of like the Jew Ranger toys from the 90s, to have that sort of weathered look with the sort of black details in between there, and it honestly does kind of look better. This honestly does not look bad, but I think this looks better, and it is more accurate in case you were wondering. Also, this, I feel, just the way this looks here in terms of these diamonds, is a little bit more accurate than this. Almost roughly the same size. The Legacy one is a little bit longer, but it's not that huge of a deal. And you can see here, you know, this does not have that sort of clear beigeness going on because it doesn't have the light up feature. If you were to compare either side, I think these are honestly pretty comparable in terms of the way this looks. Like, I wouldn't choose one over the other based on this. I think that they both look decently accurate enough for me. This maybe looks a little bit better, a little more shiny silver premium. But if you're just comparing it, you know, the size is the same here. Oh, thanks, spoiler alert. But if you're comparing it to the top to bottom here, I like this better. I think it kind of sucks, just like on an OCD level. They're like, oh, I want to display it like this, but then you have the barcodes. I just kind of wish this little light fixture aspect of it wasn't there in regards to a display. As far as the sounds, they're fairly comparable. They both have the sort of slashing sound. You know, this makes these sounds when they activate on, and the humming that this doesn't have. This one more so activates it by, it doesn't have a motion sensor. This is more motion sensitive when you turn it on. You know, I think there's even like a warbly noise it made that I didn't get it to make. But you know, it makes the slashing noises and the swooshing noises and the warbling noises when you move it around or hit it. But this one, it just does it by button. And this one you have to see both buttons, and then you hold down both buttons here. This also plays the full theme. This one has a bonus button down here, and you hold it down, and it does like electrical effects where you'd expect it to light up. But honestly, just in terms of your overall slashing type effects and all that stuff, they're pretty comparable. Like, I mean, there might be one you like over the other, but I think that they're similar enough. I guess it just depends on which ones you like better, whether you prefer the motion sensing or just the classic button pressing. They also both play the theme. The main difference is really that this has that weird electrical button and that this does the light up thing. I think that's the feature that sets it apart. Also, honestly, I cannot remember how much the Legacy one was, but I feel like it wasn't $200, right? Like, it was like at least $150 maybe at most. I feel like it wasn't $219. I feel like it wasn't as expensive. But what is the overall verdict? Honestly, guys, I have mixed thoughts on this. I think it's overall a pretty cool toy. For the most part, I think it looks good. It's fun to work with. The lighting feature is really unique, especially since it corresponds to the show, and it is very satisfying to pull off. With that being said, I just personally don't feel it's worth the money. I know the lighting feature is what probably drives the price up and all that stuff, but just over $200 or $200 depending on where you get it, it just does not feel like I'm getting my money's worth for that. I feel like this one has some improvements over the Legacy one, but likewise the Legacy has some things aesthetically that are better than it. And I feel like even though it's not as accurate in some areas, like with the bigger area here, it was a little bit cheaper and it felt more in line with the price you were paying to a degree. And it's kind of weird because I feel the lighting feature is a very like premium feature that's designed to be like high-end collectible, like you do it just like the show. But at the same time, it almost feels like a feature that would be more fun in a casual or kids version or some combination of both of those. And I would have almost rather this been a cool premium collectible that looked more show accurate, was a little bit less money, and it was good for display. And then you kind of have a more fun mess around version that's got the lighting version. I just think that having the lighting version of there takes away from it looking aesthetically pleasing. And it's kind of like the Dragon Dagger and the Power Morpher, where they're almost like this weird hybrid between a more casual line version and a collector's version, whereas I felt that the Legacy line more often was leaning more towards the collector's version. I don't think this is a bad toy by any stretch of the imagination, and I feel it might be underrated amongst the fandom, but I just don't think it's worth the price. And if you already have the Legacy version, unless this area being more slender is hugely important to you and the lighting is super important to you, I can't really recommend picking it up at this price. You know, I think if you're a mega fan of this form and Jason or Geki or whatever, and you really like what you see, you'll probably be happy with it anyway. But the only way that I can personally recommend this is if you find a good sale. So if it does go on a decent sale, then I would say recommend it. But for this price right now, it's not a bad toy by any means. Got cool stuff, but not worth the money. But anyways, guys, until next time, that's about it for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get the notifications for all my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.